you sit down because we're going to make fast work
Yes,
of this.
yes.
Okay.
This is crazy.
It's really crazy.
I love it.
Okay. There she is. You're so cute.
Yeah, thank
And
you.
smart. And amazing.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm a huge fan.
Well, we're now huge fans of yours.
Cool. I love it.
Okay. So we're talking about fear.
Yes, my favorite topic.
Hello, fear.
Hello, fears. Yeah.
What made you decide that you were going to conquer your fears by facing 100 fears in 100 days? Like, why on earth did you do that?
Oh my gosh, because I moved to New York, the city of my dreams, and I was not living my dream because I was too much in my comfort zone. And I heard this song by One Republic that called I Lived. And they're saying about all the bones they broke and the hearts they broke and everything. I'm like, I've never broken a bone in my life or a heart or whatever. I'm like, I'm not living. I started crying because I realized like I'm alive, but I'm not living and I want to live my life.
Okay, hold on. That was a big one. I'm alive, but I'm not living.
Mm-hmm.
I think a ton of people just went, shit.
Yeah.
I'm alive, but I'm not living.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I was checking all the boxes. I was doing all the right things. I had a good job. I was already married. I was living in New York. Everything was like in paper, perfect. But I wonder, am I happy or am I comfortable? And that's very different.
Yes. So you go to your husband. What's his name?
Adam.
You turn to Adam and say, even though we've got this dialed in,
Yeah.
I've decided I'm going to go and face my fears for 100 days.
Yeah.
Did he look at you and say, absolutely,
Yeah.
you're crazy?
No, he said, I'll support you 100%. I'll help you face all your fears.
Wow. So did you take like leave from your job or what did you do?
No, it was you cannot imagine. I was every single day I would wake up really early either to face a fear in the morning, then I would go to my job. I was in advertising, and then I was doing a master's in branding at the School of Visual Arts in New York every single day of the week. So I would have to either face a fear early in the morning, during my lunchtime, before I go to the master's, or right after, like at 10 p.m. And then every day I would come back, edit a video and upload that to YouTube, put it on all the social media channels, and then go to bed for like 3-4 hours and then go back.
You know what this proves? This proves that if you feel like you don't have enough time, you don't have a big enough, exciting game to play.
Yeah.
And there's even research about this, that ironically, if you're super, super busy, the best way to reclaim your time is by adding in something really meaningful or challenging. And that's exactly what you did.
Yes. Yeah.
What was the scariest thing
Oh my
that you did out of the
gosh.
100?
I will tell you something. I get that question. I just got it today, speaking twice.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to answer because the biggest fear is the one you haven't conquered. Is the one you haven't faced. So if you ask me this in the middle of the challenge, I would say the next 50 fears, right? But now looking back, I can't even choose one because this is how my everyday would look like. I would be like, okay, today was not that bad. Tomorrow I will die. And the next day, same thing. Okay, not that bad. Tomorrow it will be the worst one. And then it was never as
Well, what
bad.
was the one that you had the most anticipatory, holy shit, I might actually die if I do this?
Well, you will not guess my answer, but it's stand-up comedy. It was so scary doing stand-up comedy. So much more scary than I could ever imagine in a club in New York in front of a real audience. I was so scared. More than like skydiving and even posing nude in front of a drawing class. That was a really tough
You
one.
posed
I did.
nude in front of a drawing class?
Yeah, that was one of the scariest one as well.
So what was that like?
It was really transformational, the whole experience, because when I started, I was so self-aware. I wanted to be as skinny as I can and like hide all my imperfections. And then slowly, as the time progressed, what I realized is that I'm not giving anything to the audience. I want to draw something interesting because I'm just here thinking about myself.
So are you sitting there like cross-legged,
Yes,
arms across
hiding.
your boobs, like that's my good chin angle, like
yes,
that kind of thing?
Yes. And then when I saw the other models, they were all like, they have curves and hair everywhere. And I'm like, oh, and I shaved before coming here. So I started like bending more and creating interesting shapes. And I was like, it's not about me, it's about them. And at the end, no one's judging us in the same way that we judge ourselves.
Why is it important for people? Why is it important for the person that is listening to us right now, driving their car, walking by themselves? Why is it important for that human being to face their fear?
I think the most important thing is that we get to live our most authentic lives.
How is fear the access to your most authentic life?
Because we hide ourselves. We hide who we are. We hide our needs because it is scary to speak up. It is scary to show ourselves. It is scary to experience rejection. You know, when we show who we really are, and we will experience rejection when we show who we really are. But, you know, it's not a matter of being liked by everybody. It's a matter of resonating with the right people and attracting to you and to your life the right kind of people, the people that value who you really are, so you don't have to hide or create like this fake filter of yourself.
So what was, it was the nude drawing one. That's what was a really scary one.
Yeah.
I keep thinking about that.
Yeah. A friend suggested that. I was like so mad. I'm like, why do you have to put that in my head? Because yes, I am scared of that. I am in the process of facing all my fears. I can't now unsee this huge fear that I have. I hate you. So yes.
Wow. What did you learn about yourself by doing the 100 Days, 100 Fears project?
So I learned that feeling that you get when you're about to face a fear, you know that feeling, it's in your heart and it's telling you, don't do it. Yep. Don't do it. That's like probably your ego trying to protect you from facing rejection or embarrassment or like losing your job or whatever it is. I always perceived that feeling as a sign that my body's telling me, don't go that way.
Right.
After facing my fears and going through that feeling over and over again,
right,
what I see is that that's also the feeling that tells you that there's growth in there. And I never saw it like that. So I ran away every single time and I missed out on so many opportunities because I was like, nope, my intuition, I thought it was my intuition, but it was just, I think, my ego or whatever it is that's trying to protect me from facing my fears. I thought they were, telling me not go that way, and it was exactly where I had to go. So now every time I experience that and I feel uncomfortable, I choose growth.
So I get that question a lot, and I would love to hear your answer or any tool that you may have for somebody who doesn't know the difference between true intuition and fear that's holding them back from reaching their potential. What's a tool or a technique somebody can use to try to tease that difference out?
Well, so whenever I'm about to do something that is outside of my comfort zone and I have that feeling, immediately I can see how my body's telling me don't do it. Okay. And all of these fears and negative thoughts start to pop into my brain and it builds like a brick wall and I can't see past that. And it's only when you focus on the rewards that you get to see past those fears. Gotcha. So a lot of people will ask you the question, what's the worst that can happen? Right? And then that's a really bad question. Do not ask that question.
Because you'll see the worst.
Yes. And the worst, I know, is not maybe not dying or, getting fired, but the worst is hurting your feelings. And that is still as hurtful. So you don't want to go through that. But what I ask people is now change the question to what's the best that can happen. That's the only way you will get to see the rewards that are expecting you in the other side of fear. And if those rewards are not really exciting for you, then maybe that's a fear not worth facing. But if they are, then you have to go for it, despite the fear that it may bring.
I love that reframe because you're right. When somebody says, well, what's the worst thing that could happen? They're trying to minimize your fear, but it actually has you laser focus on a fear, which magnifies even the smallest worst thing that could happen. But when you reframe it to, well, what's the best thing that could happen?
You see whole things in a whole different way. Just today, I spoke 3 times at this event and it was a new presentation. So I was so nervous. And I told this to my community. I'm like, I'm really nervous. I'm giving out this new presentation, new material. And somebody asked, Michelle, what's the best that can happen? Because they know that's my language. And it helped me so much. So much. I immediately imagine my room full of people clapping, people laughing, people being inspired, even crying, whatever. I'm like, I'm ready. I'm ready for this.
So I'd love to get your advice because we've been talking about the fear of public speaking and how terrified so many people are of public speaking, and not even just getting on a stage, but even just sharing an idea in a meeting at work.
Yeah.
Or starting a hard conversation.
Oh my gosh.
Or that moment where you're at a meeting at school and you want to say something, but your fear holds you back and keeps you silent. What advice do you have to help somebody learn how to conquer their fear of speaking, either on a stage or at work, or being more vocal in life?
For me, what helps me the most is to feel like I own my story, to make it ownable. Even if you have to share the profits of the year or whatever, share your personal story behind that. Like attach some of your journey to whatever you want to share. Even if it's a tool. For example, it's so easy to go on Google and research, what am I going to talk about? Let me talk about this topic. And then Google will tell you the answer. And then anybody can Google that same answer.
Yes.
But only you can share a very personal story about that. For example, when they invited me to speak at Facebook, they asked me specifically to talk about the imposter syndrome. They're like, everybody here experiences that. Please talk about it.
Yep.
And I started researching what's the imposter syndrome, how to get over the imposter syndrome. And I started adding that to my presentation. And I'm like, what am I doing? I'm just repeating what Google is telling me. Is that like even legal? No, like I should be talking from my own experience. So I thought, when was a time where I experienced the imposter syndrome and what helped me in that moment? I added that story to my presentation, and even today I share it. Like I've been sharing that story for 7 years.
What is the story?
Oh my God. So it was a time where I was just starting as a speaker.
How old were you?
Not that long ago. It was after the 100-day project. So I faced 100 fears. The last one was to speak on TEDx. And that's what launched my career as a speaker. And that was in 2015. So I started speaking in 2016, let's say.
Okay.
And so they hired me to speak at ESPN. And I was very nervous, but very excited. And then the speaker that went right before me was the most exceptional speaker you can think of. And guess what? She was also the first speaker today at the event. So full circle. Yes. Hi, Carla. Yeah. So she was amazing. She was exceptional. And then I had to follow that act. And I was so nervous because I experienced the imposter syndrome. I'm like, if that's a speaker, I'm not a speaker. Like, I'm not that. And I was just starting. So I felt very intimidated by her. And I thought, I have to be more like her. I have to be more polished. I have to speak perfect English. I have to answer better. Like, she's answering all these awesome questions. Like, it was horrible, that feeling of comparison, right? Yeah. And then after the event, I went to the happy hour, and I was hesitant to go, but I'm so glad that I went, because that night so many people approached me to tell me that I was also one of the highlights of the day for them, and that they appreciated how real I was, and what I thought was like my imperfect side of myself was exactly what resonated with them. So the more real you are, the more you can own who, your authentic self, your story. That's what people want to hear more than anything else.
Amazing. It's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. So another question to ask you is, so you're doing a couple sessions at the event today, and you're nervous.
Yeah.
Other than thinking about what's the best that could happen, are there any other strategies that you use in those moments where the fear starts to rise up and your nervous system goes into a state of being on alert and you start going, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit? Like, what else do you personally do that you can give to somebody listening as a little technique to get your shit together?
Okay, one of the things that helped me is that I realized that I let go and I calm myself down when I dance reggaeton. Yeah, it's crazy. But when I realized that, I was like, I need to include that in my presentation.
I love that. That's how you take the stage, right?
That is, yeah. So whenever they say, welcome, Michelle, I play my song.
Yes.
I go on stage and I start dancing Dura from Daddy Yankee, and I dance all out. And it's really uncomfortable because I'm the only one dancing. I try to make people dance, but they don't. Mostly at very corporate settings. They stay in their seats and they're petrified looking at me. Why is she dancing?
Or if you've got like the 8 a.m. slot in Las Vegas and you're the first session and there's literally like an eighth of the chairs are filled. Nobody's up front and you're dancing like a maniac on the stage alone.
Yes, exactly.
Now, are you still afraid to do that?
I'm not. I remember at the beginning, I would tell my husband, because we travel together, we always speak together, and I was like, I'm not doing it every single time. And he was like, you are doing it, Michelle. So I needed him to convince me, every time. And now I feel like I need to. Like, now I know that every time I dance, I felt so much better afterwards. So that would be one of my advices. Like, try to find what calms you down. See how if you can incorporate that into your speech.
I actually have a different reason why that works. Do you want to know why that
Yes.
works? Because nervousness and excitement is the exact same thing physiologically. And so you are hijacking your state of nerves and aiming it at dancing, which is a state of excitement.
Yeah.
And so in that moment, you take control of your physiological state by dancing. So it's not at all about calming down. It's about you channeling nerves into a really exciting thing,
Yeah.
even though it makes you uncomfortable to do it on stage.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
super
yeah,
cool. All right. I know you have a plane to catch.
Yeah. It's crazy.
It is so crazy. Thank you for reaching out to me. I am thrilled that you did. I am super excited to share your work with our listeners. I love supporting other women
I can
on
tell.
the corporate stage. And I also applaud the fact that A, you reached out, and B, when I said, yeah, come on by, you said, I got 20 minutes, but I got to catch a flight, but I'm going. And then when you walked in here, what did you say?
I said that I forgot my laptop at the convention.
So you sent your husband back. You came in
Yeah.
here. We are getting it done. You're going to get it done tomorrow. One final thing that I'm sure everybody asks you. What is the next fear you're going to conquer?
A second baby. That would be my next fear.
Why are you afraid of that?
Because I just had one and I know exactly what it means, but at the same
No,
time.
actually, no, you don't.
No, but I
No, you don't. Right? You don't know.
Maybe I don't.
No,
Maybe
you
I don't.
don't. Because 2 is very different than 1, and it's a totally different human being, and the labor will be totally different, and the pregnancy will be totally different.
Yeah. I hope. No. Yeah. So just having one and going through all the entire experience was amazing. But at the same time, it was 2 years of being away from what I love as my job and all of that because I chose to be very present at home. So just right now, I feel like, I'm finally back. Michelle is back. That's how I feel. And now we're like, okay, let's try for a second one. And we're like,
I can see why that's nerve-wracking. And that's why you got to face it, right?
Exactly. Yes. We have to. And if it's something that you really want, doesn't matter the fear. You have to go for it. And yeah.
Amazing. Any final words?
Any final words? What's the best that can happen?
What's the best that can happen? Hello, fears.
Yeah, hello, fears.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Amazing
much.
to meet
Thank
you.
you.
Oh my God.
I'm glad
You're
we did
amazing.
this.
Me too.